The phone on my desk buzzed with a sharp, urgent ring, one of those tones that only means trouble. It was a direct 911 dispatch line. Sheriff's office, I answered, my voice calm but alert. The dispatcher on the other end hesitated. Sir, we've got a report from a local HOA about a trespasser fishing on private lake property in the Willow Creek subdivision. I rubbed my temples, already feeling the day slipping into irony. Willow Creek, my lake, my property, my name still on the deed. Copy that, I said evenly. Patch me through to the complainant. The dispatcher hesitated again. Sir, the HOA president specifically asked for the highest authority available. I smiled to myself. She's got him. I bought that land 20 years ago, back when it was just scrub and dust, 30 acres of forgotten soil nobody wanted. I poured my heart, savings, and weekends into it. Dug out the basin by hand, with an old backhoe and a few friends. When the rains came that spring, it filled up like a blessing. The lake became my refuge, somewhere to fish, think, and breathe. Over time, I sold off parcels around it to folks wanting a slice of peace too. That's how the Willow Creek subdivision was born. I never imagined one day they'd form an HOA and start sending me letters about unauthorized activities on the water I created. 20 minutes after that 911 call came through, I decided to head out there myself. Not in uniform, not as Sheriff Dean Walker, the man the county called for emergencies. I went as Dean, the guy who still remembered the smell of rain on dirt, who missed the quiet. When I reached the lake, I saw them waiting, 3 people from the HOA, dressed like authority itself. One man with a clipboard, a woman with oversized sunglasses, and another holding a phone, filming as if they were catching a criminal. The woman spoke first. Excuse me, sir, this is private property. The lake is under HOA jurisdiction. You can't fish here without approval. I rested my fishing rod on my knee and looked up slowly. Ma'am, this lake was built before your HOA even existed. I'm just enjoying a quiet morning. She crossed her arms. The board voted to restrict access. You're trespassing, the clipboard man added. We've already called 911. The sheriff will be here soon. I couldn't help it, I chuckled. You don't say. It didn't take long before 2 deputies pulled up in their patrol SUV. They stepped out, both young and uncertain, clearly trying to read the situation. Morning, Sheriff, one of them said softly, realizing who I was. The HOA members froze. Sheriff. The woman stammered. You're the guy you called on, I said gently, standing up. Silence. Then embarrassment. One of the deputies hid a smirk, clearly amused. The woman's face flushed red. Ma'am, I said kindly, I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm on my own land. This lake isn't part of your HOA's jurisdiction. You see, when I sold the parcels, I kept the water rights. The clipboard man shuffled nervously. That can't be right. We manage everything here. I pulled a folded copy of the deed from my jacket. Page 3, paragraph 2. The lake and immediate shore remain private to the original owner. That's me. The woman's voice cracked. We didn't know. I figured, I said softly. Most people don't read the fine print. But this wasn't about pride or paperwork. It wasn't about who owned what. It was about something deeper, something I'd seen happen to communities across this country. People forget what being neighbors means. They build fences, pass rules, and file complaints, until compassion becomes a casualty of convenience. I looked at them, not with anger, but disappointment. You know, I said quietly, I built this lake for peace. Not to argue over boundaries. Folks used to come here for picnics, kids learned to fish on this shore. Nobody owned it in spirit, we just shared it. They stood there, silent, eyes darting anywhere but at me. Then a small voice broke the tension. Mom, can I fish with him? It came from behind the woman. A boy, maybe 8 years old, holding a little tackle box. His line was already tangled, but his eyes were full of hope. The woman looked torn. Ethan, not now, I smiled and crouched down. Sure you can, son. Come on over. He ran to me without hesitation. As we sat by the water, the boy's laughter filled the air. He caught his first fish, a small perch, but you'd think he'd landed a whale by the way he beamed. His mother watched, arms slowly uncrossing. Something in her softened. Maybe she saw it too, that this wasn't about rules or lines on a map. It was about connection, kindness, and the kind of moments that build communities stronger than any HOA charter. When the sun started to dip low, the woman approached me. I'm sorry, she said quietly. We just wanted to keep things organized. I didn't mean to make it ugly. I nodded. I get it, you're trying to protect what people care about. But sometimes, protecting turns into excluding. And that's when the soul of a place starts to die. She looked out at the lake, eyes glistening. It's beautiful here. I didn't know you made it yourself. Didn't make it for myself, I said softly. Made it for whoever needed a little peace. A few weeks passed, and I thought that was the end of it. But one late afternoon, another call came in, this time a real 911 emergency. Possible drowning at Willow Creek Lake. My heart froze. I sped out there with my deputies, sirens cutting through the sunset. When I arrived, I saw chaos, neighbors shouting, a woman crying on the dock, the little boy's tackle box floating near the shore. Ethan, I called. No response. Without thinking, I dove in. The water was cold and murky, but I could just make out a small figure under the surface, caught in weeds near the bank. I pulled him out, coughing, barely breathing. We performed CPR right there on the dock, the mother sobbing beside me. After what felt like hours, the boy gasped, sputtered, and took a breath. The crowd erupted in relief. The mother fell to her knees, clutching my hand. You saved him, you saved my baby. I looked her in the eyes and said softly, he saved me too, ma'am. Reminded me what this place is supposed to mean. News spread fast. The story of the Wahoo called 911 on the sheriff turned into something bigger, something beautiful. People from the neighborhood started showing up at the lake, not to complain, but to connect. They brought food, helped clean the banks, and built a small dock for kids to fish safely. At the next WA meeting, that same woman, Karen Matthews, stood up and proposed something that surprised everyone. I think we should make the lake community property, she said. Not owned, not restricted, just shared. For all of us. The vote passed unanimously. They renamed it Walker's Lake. I tried to talk them out of it, but Karen insisted. You didn't just build a lake, Sheriff. You built a reason for us to remember we're neighbors. Every Sunday morning now, I drive out there with my coffee and old fishing rod. The laughter of kids carries across the water, and the sound of church bells drifts from the hill beyond. Sometimes Karen joins me, sometimes it's Ethan, now proudly teaching other kids how to bait hooks. The lake shines brighter than ever, not because of sunlight, but because of what it reflects, the good in people when they let down their walls. And every time my phone rings on my desk, another 911 call, another voice in trouble, I think about that day. About how sometimes, the emergencies that matter, most aren't the ones in the dispatcher's log. They're the ones in our hearts, the moments when we forget how to be kind, and someone reminds us. Last spring, the county held a ceremony to honor community heroes. I didn't expect anything fancy, but when they called my name, I was surprised to see Karen and Ethan waiting on stage. Ethan ran up, holding a small plaque, for the man who saved my life, and taught our town how to care again. I felt the lump in my throat rise as I took it. In the back of the crowd, one of my deputies whispered, "Guess that 911 call came full circle, huh, Sheriff?" I laughed softly. Yeah, maybe it was the most important one I ever took. People often ask me what the moral of it all is. Why I didn't press charges, or make a scene, or teach them a lesson. But here's the truth. You can't build peace by punishing people, you build it by showing them what peace looks like. That lake was never about property or power. It was about reflection, literally and spiritually. And sometimes, when I watch the sunset over that water, I realize the same thing I hope others do. No matter how divided life gets, one act of understanding can still ripple farther than hate ever will.